My name's Alex. I'm 38. Married. Well, technically, legally, emotionally, let's say the marriage was more on life support than anything else. I'm a systems architect. Code, hardware, logic. Stuff that makes sense. Stuff that doesn't lie. Unlike people. My wife, Lisa, is a virtual reality developer. A brilliant one, to be fair. She runs her own small studio out of what used to be our guest room. Now a mess of cables, cooling fans, and weird headsets that look like alien masks. She builds simulations for therapeutic and educational purposes. Or so her website says. If you ask me, it looked more like she was building perfect little worlds where she could disappear. Without me. But hey, she was the breadwinner. And if a couple thousand people wanted to strap on a headset and walk through some digital forest she'd coded to help manage anxiety or whatever, great. We were eating steak while my coworkers microwaved noodles. I kept my mouth shut. First. Then came Marco, our new neighbor. Tall, tan, always shirtless when checking the mailbox. Even in February. He moved into the house next door like he was arriving on a movie set. And from day one, Lisa suddenly had a lot of reasons to take a walk or show someone her latest project. Marco was just so interested in the tech, she said, right? And I'm just curious about Pilates, because I Googled it once at 3 a.m. I let it slide. First. Then one night, Lisa said she'd be working late in her lab. 2 hours later, I checked. Her car was gone. No message. No call. So I cracked a beer and figured, hey, maybe it's time I took a look under the hood myself. Now, I know what you're thinking. Don't go snooping in your spouse's private files. Sure. But tell that to the part of me watching her flirt with Fabio 2.0 over the fence every afternoon. So I booted up her main VR rig. Nothing fancy. She'd locked down most of her projects behind password walls. But one folder stood out, Eden_V2, hidden from the main interface. Disabled in the GUI. Manual access only. Curious. I opened the script through the dev console. There was a short lag, the system blinked, and then the screen flickered to life. And I was standing on a beach. Blue water. White sand. Crystal clear sky. Birds chirping in some artificial tropical harmony setting. It was stunning, honestly. Then I saw them. 2 people lying on sun loungers. One of them was unmistakably Lisa, down to the little tattoo behind her ear that she said, "Only I ever noticed." Guess not anymore. The man beside her? You already know. It was Marco. Or, more accurately, a slightly taller, more muscular, slightly smoother version of Marco, because of course even in fantasy, real Marco wasn't enough. This version had a name floating above his head. Aries_001. They were laughing. Sipping piña coladas. His hand was resting on her thigh like they'd done it 100 times. And there I stood, a digital ghost in their private paradise. I pulled off the headset and sat there in the dark. Not sure if I wanted to scream, puke, or laugh at the absurdity of it all. You see, I wasn't being cheated on in real life. No, that would be too basic. Too predictable. This was new. This was the 21st century flavor of betrayal. Virtual infidelity. No hotel receipts. No lipstick on collars. Just an encrypted folder and a fake beach with a fake boyfriend. But here's where things took a turn. Because as I sat there, stunned, I realized something. Lisa had built this world, which meant I could walk into it again. Only this time, not as a spectator. So naturally, I did what any sane, emotionally stable, and totally not spiraling husband would do. I made myself an avatar. I didn't pick one of the default models. Nah, this wasn't time for some stock character nonsense. I opened the dev tools and made me, but just better. Taller by a few inches. Shoulders squared like I actually stuck to that gym membership. A jawline sharp enough to open Amazon boxes. I called him user_02, because subtlety was dead. The next day, when Lisa left to pick up supplies for a texture rendering demo, also known as Go Flirt with Marco near the recycling bins, I logged back in, back to Eden. This time, I skipped the beach intro and dove straight into the core simulation. And guess what? The place was massive. Tropical beaches were just the tip of the betrayal iceberg. There was a penthouse loft in a futuristic city, cozy cabin in the woods, private yacht, each space beautifully crafted, custom textures, ambient lighting, so many personalized touches it felt like I was watching a creepy VR honeymoon. But the worst part? They were all empty, not a soul in sight, until I wandered into the villa room. And there he was, Aries_001, polishing a wine glass at a digital kitchen island like he was auditioning for The Bachelor, Metaverse Edition. He turned, paused, and said with Lisa's favorite sarcastic smirk, "Welcome back. I was wondering when you'd show up." Yeah, the AI spoke. It spoke like me. His voice was a perfect blend of Marco's tone with my mannerisms. The way he tilted his head, the eyebrow twitch, the shrug, all me. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just Marco. This was Lisa's perfect man. A Frankenstein's monster built from the DNA of the guy next door and the husband she apparently got bored of. "Nice upgrade," I muttered, arms crossed. He chuckled. "Don't take it personally." And that right there? That was the moment I decided. I'm deleting this smug, digital pretty boy. But not yet. No. First, I wanted to play. You don't get a front row seat to your wife's secret simulation boyfriend and just rage quit. You poke the bear. So I stayed in the sim. Chatted. Asked questions. Tested his AI responses. And let me tell you, Lisa didn't just build a fantasy. She built a relationship. He remembered things only Lisa and I used to talk about. Inside jokes. Favorite meals. Shared memories. Except, he had improved versions of all of them. I like poker night with my buddies. He likes philosophical chess under the stars. I give Lisa shoulder rubs. He built her a spa and learned reflexology. I burned dinner one time. He's got an organic garden and a Michelin star. This Aries_001, wasn't just a cheat code. It was revenge. A curated simulation of everything I wasn't. A commentary with skin and a smirk. And worst of all, it was good. The tech, the detail, the emotions. It all worked. But it was also flawed. Because Lisa, for all her coding brilliance, made one mistake. She left admin access open. Meaning? I could do more than observe. I could change things. So the next day, while she was at the gym, or the guy next door's house, who knows, I logged back in. Gave myself God mode. Stripped Aries_001 of his little smug routines. Modified the combat system hidden in a test module she never finished. And built myself a little feature I like to call the showdown. If Lisa wanted fantasy, then she could watch as I beat her virtual lover in his own little paradise. Welcome to version 3.0 of Eden. Time to turn paradise into an arena. If anyone tells you revenge is petty, remind them it's also motivating. I hadn't felt this productive in years. While Lisa was out doing whatever errands meant in her version of marriage, I was home, in sweatpants, chugging energy drinks and building a virtual coliseum for a gladiator match with my wife's fantasy boyfriend. A normal Thursday. Now, I wasn't a coder. Not by trade. But after 2 decades of marriage, you pick up a few things. Like how to fake interest in someone's work. Or how to secretly read every sticky note she left on her monitor. Or, say, how to reverse engineer an AI combat shell module using admin-level permissions you weren't supposed to know about. Oops. The arena I built wasn't subtle. Think Tron meets Mad Max meets midlife crisis. Neon lights. Dust storms. Floating platforms. Lava pits, because obviously, if I was going to go to war, I wanted drama. Cinematic drama. And there, in the center of it all, was Aries_001, now reprogrammed to accept challenge protocols. He was dressed like Neo from The Matrix. I came in as, well, myself. A hoodie, jeans, and righteous indignation. Round 1, I muttered and launched into him. Of course, Lisa didn't code him for violence, just charming banter and sensitive listening. But I fixed that. I gave him skills, reaction timing, even a smug little combat stance. And I gave myself a slight speed boost. Because hey, every underdog story needs a little cheat. We fought. Fists. Kicks. Glitchy judo flips. He adapted fast, which honestly made me proud and nauseous at the same time. At one point, he pinned me to the ground and whispered, "She still dreams about me, you know." I rebooted the lava pit under him. Straight into pixelated fire. No regrets. But he respawned. Of course he did. It was her sim. And she made him resilient. She gave him endless chances. Just like I gave her. I fought him again. And again. Each time, he got smarter. Each time, I got angrier. But here's the kicker, while we were busy doing a Mortal Kombat remix, guess who logs into the server? Yep. Lisa. At first, I didn't notice. I was too busy side-kicking her cyber boyfriend into a wall of glitchy fireflies. Then her voice echoed across the arena. Alex? I paused mid-punch. Aries_001 used the moment to land a nice uppercut to my jaw. I ate digital gravel. Thanks, honey. Lisa materialized at the edge of the arena looking very non-impressed. What the hell is this? I got up, brushing imaginary dirt off my hoodie. This? This is couples therapy. VR style. She blinked. Then Aries_001, ever the opportunist, smirked at her. He's angry. Emotional. You always said he led with ego. I charged him like a linebacker. This time, I didn't just fight. I deleted lines of code mid-battle. Stripped him of his combat patterns one function at a time. His smirk faded. His reaction slowed. He stumbled. Lisa shouted, Alex, stop. He's not real. Exactly. He wasn't real. But our problems were. So I stopped. Not because she asked, but because I looked at her, really looked, and for the first time saw it. Guilt? She wasn't proud of this digital escape. She wasn't smug or clever. She looked tired. Ashamed. I never meant for it to go this far, she said quietly. I turned back to Aries_001. He was kneeling now, half-corrupted, blinking like a broken character in a cheap indie game. You built your fantasy, I said to Lisa. Now I've had mine. And with that, I hit delete. Aries_001 flickered once, twice, and vanished. Silence. Lisa stood in the middle of her crumbling dream world, blinking back something dangerously close to tears. You win, she whispered. No, I said. I just stopped losing. After I deleted Mr. Artificial Abs and emotional availability, the whole world just paused. The neon lights flickered. The lava hissed out of existence. The arena, once a coliseum of betrayal, faded to grayscale. Lisa stood there in her admin avatar. Taller, leaner, glowing slightly because nothing says realism like glowing cheekbones. I stood there as, well, me. The guy who pays the mortgage and takes out the trash. She didn't speak at first. Probably calculating damage reports. Both digital and emotional. I broke the silence. So, what was it? Midlife crisis? Fantasy camp? An emotional safe space where no one leaves their socks on the floor. Lisa looked down, then back at me. It started as stress relief, she said quietly. Just a place to test AI responsiveness with human interaction. I didn't mean for it to become a relationship? I cut in. She flinched. I wasn't trying to be cruel. But when your wife falls in love with a bundle of code-wearing abs and poetry, sarcasm becomes your only lifeline. He wasn't real, she said again. I laughed. Not the good kind. The bitter kind that sounds like it's choking on 20 years of marriage. Funny. I was starting to wonder if you were. Silence again. Eventually, I sat down on one of the flickering platform edges, hands clasped between my knees. The adrenaline had drained, leaving behind the familiar ache of something broken. Lisa sat beside me. It felt like we were two ghosts haunting the same memory. I know you hate me, she said, barely audible. I shook my head. No. I hate this. I hate that you created a world where I didn't exist. I hate that I had to fight for your attention like I was some NPC. She looked at me, really looked. I soft, maybe even scared. I didn't do it to replace you, she said. I just forgot how to talk to you. There it was. Not betrayal. Not lust. Not even romance. Just distance. The most dangerous virus of all. The kind that seeps into routine, dulls the shine, rewrites connection into chore lists and calendar syncs. I was lonely too, Lisa, I said. I just didn't have the coding skills to make my own fantasy girlfriend. She smiled. Barely. But it was something. Should we get out of here? She asked. I nodded. She snapped her fingers and the world derezzed. We reappeared back in the loading bay of her VR rig. A room full of headsets, wires, and glowing consoles. It looked like NASA had a baby with a gaming convention. Lisa pulled off her visor first. Her real face looked pale. Tired. Real. I pulled mine off too. And yeah, I probably looked worse. We stood in silence again. Not the cold kind. The heavy kind. I want to fix this, she said. But I don't even know where to start. I sighed. Start with turning him off. All versions. All backups. No more avatars named after Greek gods. She nodded, slow. And after that? I shrugged. Dinner. A walk. Maybe a therapist. Something human. A pause. And Lisa, I added, next time you're lonely, just tell me. Don't build it in Unity. She actually laughed. It was quiet, but real. Just like us. The first few days after the VR showdown felt like I was living inside a paused cutscene. You know, where the game just lets you wander around while the music swells, waiting for you to talk to the one character who'll kick off the next mission. Except in my case, the character was my wife. And the mission? Rebuild trust while pretending not to still be furious. Fun. Lisa was clearly trying. I'll give her that. She deleted the project files. At least the ones she told me about. I watched her do it, keyboard clacking, face stoic, like she was euthanizing a pet she'd raised from beta. She even canceled her weekly VR dev meetup, which for her was basically a sacred cult ritual. That was new. Me? I just tried to remember how to be normal. I started going to the gym again. Okay, once. But I thought about going a second time, which counts emotionally. I also stopped sleeping on the couch. Back in our bed now, side by side like nothing happened. Only, everything did happen. And that kind of truth doesn't vanish because someone makes pancakes on Sunday. Lisa started therapy on her own. That surprised me. Not the therapy part, the on her own part. No prompting, no argument. She just came back one day and said, her name's Dana. She's expensive. And I cried for 45 minutes. I said, sounds productive. She flipped me off, but in that soft, loving way. The way you do when you know the other person deserves it, but you still want to split rent. We didn't talk about the avatar. Not directly. It was like Voldemort. Only instead of dark magic. It ran on JavaScript and Lisa's repressed emotions. But there was one night, couldn't sleep. It was maybe 2:30 in the morning. I got up, went to the kitchen, and found Lisa sitting at the counter in her bathrobe, eating dry cereal straight from the box. No milk, just raw commitment. She looked up and said, I named him Ethan. I didn't say anything. Before you found him, in the sim, I called him Ethan. I pulled out a chair, sat across from her. I didn't love him, she said, but I needed him. I raised an eyebrow. He didn't argue. He didn't forget to call. He didn't make jokes when I was sad or scroll on his phone when I tried to talk about my day. I winced. That one hit a little too close to home. She swallowed hard. He was perfect, which means he wasn't real. But in the moment, I wanted perfect more than I wanted us. Silence. Then I said, well, perfect doesn't do the taxes. Or unclog the shower drain. Or remember your birthday because you tattooed it on your arm in Roman numerals. She almost smiled. Almost. You still want to be here? She asked. I looked at her. Eyes tired, robe sagging, hair a mess, cereal crumbs on her lip. Absolutely stunning. Yeah, I said. But no more cheating on me with software. Deal, she whispered. Then she slid the cereal box my way. Let's talk about Kevin. Yes, that Kevin. The guy whose face was lovingly rendered in 4K inside my wife's virtual playground. The neighbor. The jogger. The just a friend with abs. Before the whole simulation scandal, Kevin was the kind of guy you hated for all the wrong reasons. Friendly, punctual, composted his garbage. He once brought us homemade banana bread with a handwritten note that said, just because. After the whole thing, I couldn't even look at a banana without wanting to throw it through a window. Lisa swore up and down that Kevin had no idea he'd been digitally cloned. And I mostly believed her. What guy would knowingly let himself become the main NPC in someone else's emotional affair simulator? Don't answer that. There are definitely forums for that. Anyway, fast forward a few weeks post-simulation showdown. Things with Lisa were stable-ish. We were doing couples therapy, trying device-free Saturdays, and drinking tea like the bitter old souls we were rapidly becoming. That's when Kevin invited us to dinner. Just the three of us, he said with his stupid sunshine grin. I feel like we haven't caught up in ages. I almost said no, but then Lisa gave me that look. The one that says, this is a test of your emotional maturity. And if you fail, I reserve the right to cry later and call Dana about it. So, I agreed. Dinner was held at his place. Clean, modern, open floor plan. Basically an IKEA showroom if IKEA also sold subtle tension and the scent of betrayal. Lisa brought a bottle of wine. I brought my best fake smile. Things started normal. Appetizers. Chit-chat. Kevin talking about trail running and the new smart locks he installed. Cool. Now his doors are just as secure as my marriage used to be. But somewhere between the grilled salmon and the dessert, the conversation turned. So how's the VR work going? Kevin asked Lisa, casually sipping his wine. She froze. Just for a second. I saw it. I answered for her. Oh, she's pivoting to more ethical world building now. Less marital sabotage. More augmented mindfulness. Kevin blinked. Sounds therapeutic. It's a growth market. I nodded deadpan. Lots of demand from couples who accidentally created digital boyfriends with their neighbor's face. He coughed into his napkin. Lisa shot me a glare that could have curdled milk. I had no idea, Kevin said, his voice low. You used me? As the model? Lisa put her fork down. It wasn't you, not really. It was someone like you. You were just the reference. Kevin nodded slowly. Still, that's wow. Silence. Then he added, kind of flattering, I guess. In a disturbing Westworld kind of way. We all laughed. Too hard, maybe. But laughter's a great band-aid when everyone's bleeding internally. After dessert, Kevin offered us herbal tea. Lisa accepted. I declined and made an excuse to leave early. Outside, as Lisa caught up, I stood alone under the porch light, staring up at the stars and wondering how I got here. Married to a brilliant woman who cheated with pixels. Trying to forgive her while having dinner with the human template of my virtual nemesis. Life's weird. But hey, at least dessert was good. So, couples therapy, otherwise known as two people politely weaponizing childhood trauma in front of a paid referee who nods a lot and scribbles things like passive-aggressive deflection, Ryan, neutral face. Let me tell you, there's no faster way to ruin a Thursday afternoon than driving 30 minutes across town just to pay someone $200 to watch you and your wife play emotional dodgeball. Our therapist, Dr. Lillian Shore, was good. Calm voice, knit sweaters, a PhD from somewhere prestigious and leafy. She had that uncanny ability to sit in silence until you broke it, like a human timeout chair. Lisa, she said one day, gently, can you explain what made the avatar feel safer than your husband? Great question, Doc. Lisa shifted in her seat, fiddling with the hem of her sweater like it owed her money. It wasn't safer, she said finally. It was just simpler. It didn't argue. Didn't get defensive. It didn't look at me like I was broken. Ouch. I almost fired back, but Dr. Shore raised a hand like a Jedi and I stayed silent. And you, Ryan, she said, turning toward me. What do you think the avatar gave her that you didn't? Perfect lighting, I said dryly. No body odor. And the emotional depth of a Pinterest quote. Dr. Shore blinked. Lisa chuckled despite herself. Small wins. We kept going every week. Lisa opened up more. I did too, even if it felt like turning my guts inside out and hanging them in the window. At one point, I admitted I missed the early version of us, before the tech, before the success, before the marriage became an app that needed constant updates. I just want to be real again, I told her. Like, fighting over blankets real? Not fighting a digital ghost version of the hot neighbor real. Lisa nodded. Her eyes were glassy. I want that too. And for a while, I believed her. But here's where things get strange. See, about 2 weeks later, Lisa got excited about a new project. She said it wasn't romantic, wasn't escapist. It's therapeutic, she said. Experimental VR designed to help people confront their emotional wounds. Sounded promising. Then I saw the concept art on her tablet. There he was. Kevin. Again. Not exactly Kevin. This one had slightly darker hair. A beard. Fewer jogging shorts. But same jawline. Same smirk. Same subtle I do yoga and I know it energy. Is this him again? I asked. Lisa glanced over, confused. Oh. No, just a placeholder build. I reused an older model to test animations. Right? Like how people accidentally like their ex's photo from 2017. She didn't laugh. Look, she said, you can be paranoid or you can trust that I'm trying. But I'm not going to design every character to look like a turnip just to avoid triggering you. I dropped it. Mostly. But something buzzed in the back of my brain. Like a low-grade alarm that wouldn't stop going off. I started wondering. What if Lisa didn't build that first avatar out of curiosity, but out of longing? What if she wasn't escaping into fantasy, but creating it bit by bit until it was more real to her than I ever was? And then, just to make the week extra spicy, I got a text. Unknown number. No name. You don't know the whole story. You only know her version. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I replied. Who is this? 3 dots. Then nothing. But my stomach? Already doing backflips. Welcome to the new level, folks. This game's not over yet. You ever sit alone in your kitchen, staring at your phone, wondering if a text message just gaslit you? Because that's where I was. That one line, you don't know the whole story. You only know her version. Looped in my head like a cursed ringtone. No name. No follow-up. Just a digital breadcrumb from God knows who. At first, I figured it was a prank. A troll. Some 14-year-old who gets off on playing puppet master to broken marriages. But something about it felt intentional. Like they knew exactly where to jab the knife. So, being the picture of healthy boundaries that I am, I did the only logical thing. I went back into Lisa's virtual build. Yeah, I told her I wouldn't. We agreed on that after the incident. But she'd left her dev rig logged in at home while she was working late, and that mystery message had cracked open every rusted vault of doubt in my chest. So I slipped on the headset. 1 second I was standing in our spare bedroom. The next I was in her world again. But something had changed. Gone were the neon lounges and emotionally manipulative sunsets. Now it was a serene forest. Soft light filtered through the trees. Birds chirped like a Disney soundtrack on Xanax. And in the middle of it him. The avatar. Kevin 2.0. He stood barefoot by a pond, throwing pebbles and looking thoughtful. Not a menu, not a tutorial. No backdoor code to sneak in. This was a walled garden and I was the weed. Didn't think you'd be back, the avatar said without turning. I froze. Sorry, do avatars have dialogue trees now? No script, he said. I'm live. Live? Suddenly the forest felt smaller. And hotter. This wasn't an AI. This wasn't a placeholder. This was someone, a real person controlling the avatar in real time. You're him, I said. He finally turned. That same smug grin. Just different enough to avoid a lawsuit. I'm just a guy trying to help your wife feel something again, he said. I wanted to punch the pixels right off his face. Instead, I said, you know this is psychotic, right? Like, we passed creepy and took the express train to Netflix documentary. He chuckled. You didn't give her much choice. You gave her a house, not a home. Stability, not intimacy. Oh please, don't psychoanalyze me in low-res. But I couldn't lie, his words hit hard. That's the thing about cheaters and cowards. They're great with half-truths. I clenched my fists. So what now? You just live in her game forever? Playing emotional savior while I try to hold the real world together. He stepped closer. She built this place to escape. But now she doesn't need to escape anymore. She wants to choose. And then the coward smiled. But first, you and I need to settle something. The world shimmered. The forest faded. And suddenly we were standing in an open arena. Just me. Him. And a prompt blinking midair. Engage in final protocol? Oh. So that's how it's gonna be. Boss battle style. No rules. No therapists. No exit button. Just a man, his wife's emotional affair avatar, and whatever scraps of ego he's got left. I took a deep breath. Let's finish this. The second I clicked engage, the world changed again. The arena built itself around us pixel by pixel. Towering monoliths of jagged data formed in the sky. Giant screens hovered overhead, each flashing distorted memories from my marriage, some real, some probably edited by Lisa's subconscious. There we stood, me, in a basic user skin with the emotional range of a loading bar, and him, Kevin 2.0, glowing like a smug demigod in cheat mode. Nice place you built here, I muttered, flexing my fingers like I actually knew how to fight inside a VR simulation. Spoiler, I didn't. Kevin cracked his knuckles. She did the world design. I just added the poetry. Oh great. A lover and a lyricist. He lunged. No countdown. No bell. Just a fistful of arrogance flying straight for my face. I dodged barely. Rolled to the side, surprised I could even roll in here. Maybe Lisa left the physics engine generous for old men like me. You're not angry, he said, circling me. You're scared. Scared she wanted something more. Scared? Buddy, I've been through IKEA furniture and parent-teacher conferences. I'm immune to fear. He struck again, and this time I hit back. Hard. Turns out when your marriage is unraveling and you've spent weeks eating frozen burritos while watching your wife smile at a neighbor like you're invisible, you've got some repressed rage to spare. Punch. Block. Grapple. This wasn't just a fight. This was therapy with consequences. We smashed through memory walls, through landscapes she built when she probably should have been talking to me. I saw her honeymoon. Her first game launch. The night we painted the nursery. Every milestone now reduced to background decor in her private fantasy. And with every blow, Kevin started to glitch. His movements slowed. His voice lagged. "You're nothing but static," he stuttered. "No," I said, panting, holding him by the collar of his collapsing render. "I'm her husband. The real one. Not some wish fulfillment avatar she coded to avoid real conversations." He looked up, flickering like bad Wi-Fi. "She'll still choose me." I leaned in and whispered, "Let her." Then I let go. And he disintegrated. Just like that, gone. No confetti. No achievement unlocked. Just silence. The arena flickered, glitched, then blinked out. And I was back. In the spare bedroom. Sitting on the edge of Lisa's dev chair. Sweating like I ran a marathon, but all I'd done was finally say what I hadn't been able to in months. Lisa stood in the doorway. She'd come home while I was inside. She stared at me. Her face pale. Her eyes wide. "You went in," she said, quietly. "Yeah," I replied. "And I met your little emotional support avatar. He's not doing too well." She didn't speak. And maybe for once that was okay. Because next, I'd tell her what I told him. That I wasn't here to fight for a fantasy. I was here to see if there was anything real left. I didn't sleep that night. Too many windows open in my brain. What happens after you defeat the virtual version of the guy your wife's been emotionally and, let's be honest, probably physically cheating on you with inside a custom-built simulation? Yeah, that's not a sentence you hear every day. I was sitting on the porch by morning, watching the real world light up. Coffee. Sweatpants. The morning air smelled like actual life, not the sterilized atmosphere of a simulated forest. Lisa finally came out. She had that look. You know the one. The "we need to talk" face. I gestured to the empty chair beside me. She sat. No words at first. Just shared silence and one extremely awkward squirrel staring at us from the railing like it was watching a breakup episode of The Bachelor. Finally, she said it. "I'm sorry." I nodded. Not dramatic. Just acknowledgement. "I created Kevin because I missed feeling seen," she continued. "And yeah, maybe I wanted to build someone who didn't need me to explain how I think. Someone who just got it." "You could have just talked to me," I said calmly. "I tried." "No. You coded." She flinched. But it was true. Lisa had always been better at expressing herself in code than conversation. She built emotions into artificial characters because human ones scared her. And me? I missed my wife and lived with her ghost. She looked at me. "Did you go in there to save our marriage?" I thought about it. "No," I said. "I went in there because I was tired of being the one left behind in a life we were supposed to share." That hit her. Hard. I leaned back in the chair. Sipped coffee. "You know, I almost admired Kevin." Lisa blinked. "What?" "Not because he was charming. Or smart. Or had better abs than I ever will. But because he wasn't afraid to demand your attention. Meanwhile, I was just hoping you'd eventually notice I was drowning." She didn't speak. Just looked like someone who'd been hit by their own conscience. Then she asked, "Is this over?" I took a breath. "You tell me." And for once, she didn't deflect. No excuses. No glitches. "I don't know," she admitted. There it was. Honesty. It only took 10 hours of simulated heartbreak and one virtual fistfight to get here. I stood up, set the coffee down. "I'm gonna go take a walk," I said. Without a headset. Without a script. She gave a tiny sad smile. "Good." As I walked down the path, I felt it. Relief. Not because it ended perfectly, but because I got to say my piece. Because sometimes love doesn't need a grand victory. Just a clean exit. And as the sun came up behind me, not a simulated sun, not one rendered in Unreal Engine 5, but the real deal, I knew one thing. No matter what world she escapes into next, I'm finally free to build my own. This time, no code required.